Guys, how you going? And welcome back to another In the Sheds. It is Wednesday, and this is the time we talk about all things live sport chat. It's not a player interview today. That's the one on Sundays at 8 a.m. AEST. But I'm looking forward to this because, on Sunday, it's all about the structure. But today, it's all about just kind of let's go for it. And there's a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about some rugby league. We're going to be talking about the Aaron Molan situation. We're going to be talking about the Mighty Titans. Ooh, yeah, baby. Let's go, baby. The Mighty Titans getting up for a cheeky little win for our first time in 364 days. And we're also going to be talking about the Manly win against Parramatta. I'm just saying that for you, Hayden, because I know Hayden can't talk right now until I finish doing the intros. And then we're going to be talking about the Premier League with the social distancing that we spoke about last week, but the AFL with season predictions. That's coming up this week. Super Rugby, season predictions. That's coming up this week. So there's a lot to talk to, you guys. So let's stop talking just me here and let's welcome him in. Firstly, we've got Entertain House, who is the co-host. He's here every week. How you doing, big fella?
Doing good, mate. Lots of sport to talk about. It's kind of good. Obviously, I love my rugby league, but I think all these sports getting back into their gear, and I think it's exciting.
Back into their gear. Back into gear. Which gear are they in, mate? Which gear are you talking?
Oh, the players jumping into their gear and getting back into gear. And
you're talking about in their gear. Okay.
Both.
I love it. Alrighty. And also, guys, this is the first time that we're also going to be bringing in one of you guys, the listeners. So we actually have a man named AJ Ellis who listens to it. He's a part of the BK Army. He watches the content all the time, and he's always been a massive contributor to the channel. So we've chucked him on here, and he's a very knowledgeable sport fan. So really looking forward to have him. Welcome to AJ.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Actually, there was some live breaking sport within the last few hours, so getting ready to jump into that. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, man.
There's
dead set so much to chat about. Like I said, guys, we got the NRL, which we're going to get into first. But let's wrap up the previous round of the rugby league really quickly. So firstly, what a fantastic round. Hayden, what were your thoughts in that round?
Yeah, I think that the round was something that I wasn't looking forward to much originally. I think there were some quality games that came out of it that surprised me.
I'm a Titans fan, man. I never look forward to rugby league usually.
Oh, well, mate, you've got something to cheer about this round, haven't you?
I do, mate. I do. And AJ's obviously got a Titans gear on as well, mate.
Come on. Let's go.
I think the games that stood out for me was the Rabbits and the Storm, Eels and Manly, and obviously the Raiders and the Knights. I love that game. I could watch that.
You're telling me you've just said 3 games there and you didn't say the Titans versus bloody Tigers game where it was a last seconds bloody Philip Sammy, feed Sammy and he will score, mate.
It was a good final 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't a great game, I think, personally.
AJ, what's your thoughts on that?
We came back 3 times in the game.
Yep.
And, you don't see that happen. And Philip Sammy, the hero again, so...
Well, the thing is that, I love Sammy. I thought it was a great game by Philip Sammy. And he was obviously unreal. But in the same sense, yeah, look, we were down 12-0 after, I think, 10 minutes in the game. Then it was 15 minutes in the game. And then we came back to 12-12 by half-time. We were definitely the better team in the first half. But we kind of faltered in the beginning part. Started the second half off the same way with the first 10 minutes. And the Tigers, they just went bang. And they were up 22-12. And then we came back to 22-22. We came back to 22-22. And then with 3 minutes to go in the game, Benji Marshall kicked a field goal. So they're up 23-22. I'm like, okay, well, there we go. See you later. And then we go, and instead of going for a field goal, which I was freaking out about, I don't know if you guys were watching the live stream, the Titans versus Tigers live stream that I was doing on BKRsport, but I was like, why aren't we going for a field goal here? What's going on? Why are we passing the ball around? But, we obviously get the ball. And who was the one who assisted Sammy? Who was the guy who kicked it? Was it Brian Kelly, AJ?
Yeah, it was Brian Kelly. Kicked it through and it missed 3 or 4 Tigers. I don't know how it got through that tiny little gap, and then Philip Sammy just comes out of nowhere and puts it down. So.
Well, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know, actually, Hayden, you'd remember this. Maybe this was about 10 years ago with Nathan Hindmarsh, and it was his final season in Penrith Panthers versus Eels. I think it was Hindy's his last game or something, and the Panthers just threw the ball around the field, and then there was a kick into the end goal, and I think it was Jennings. When he was playing with the Panthers. Yeah, he ran in and put it down, and I thought that was very similar to what happened with Sammy. So that was absolutely unreal. But I just can't believe you didn't think that was one of the better games around, mate.
It was a good game. It wasn't a bad game at all. But I think the other games might have just beaten it for me.
Yeah, well, look, the other obviously big games that we should quickly get into, because there's a couple of games that aren't really, too much to talk about. Obviously, Panthers versus Warriors. I did tip the Panthers. You tipped the Warriors, so I got up on you on that one, son. Obviously, the Roosters, 59-0. Wow, let's talk about that one. So, firstly, before we get into that, this is a big topic that I want to talk about today. So, obviously, James Tedesco, and this happened with the Sharks-Cowboys game as well, where there were 6 players who apparently were above the temperature, which I believe is 38. Now, they were above the temperature of 38, and I think the Sharks players all got cleared. But James Tedesco apparently, well, he didn't get cleared. He wasn't allowed to play. And even though the Roosters ended up winning that game 59-0, what do you guys – first, I'll go to you first here, AJ. What are your thoughts on that? Because, maybe we could get to a stage at the end of the season where – someone's going to come in with a high temperature, they don't have the virus, and then it comes in at a game where they need to win and it's their biggest player.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to correct you on the Blaze. It's actually 37 point. If they're over 37.2, they can't play, because that's what Tedesco was. He couldn't fly to where they play up to Brisbane, of course.
Oh, so he wasn't even able to fly.
No, he wasn't even allowed to even go to Brisbane. So
wow,
that was massive. So, and of course, with the Sharks players, we don't know exactly what their temperatures were at first, but it's going to be interesting coming down to the later seasons, around 18, 19, 20, if teams like the Tigers or like say Cronulla or something need to win a game, and their massive big players are out, and then it gets to the point like, well, we're screwed. Like, we can't make finals, and the fans are going to be pissed. Like, you're going to have sponsors that are going to either pull out or other things like that. It's going to be a mess for the NRL.
They were diabolical, Brisbane, but I don't know how to speak. I guess I've gone off topic there, but as AJ has said, it'll be so vital or be so brutal losing a star name player. I think of yesterday, obviously the Raiders weren't of their best performance. I couldn't imagine Newcastle winning without Kalen Ponga. If Kalen Ponga was above that 37.2, that would have been a massive, massive change.
Oh, yeah, I think Raiders probably would have won that game without Ponga, yeah.
I think so too. I think Bradman Best was outstanding, and you can't take that away from him. But Kalen Ponga was just on another level. I think it's going to be so costly in finals if it's going to be like this. As you were saying, later in the year is where it's going to happen most. If it's like last year and the Tigers and the Sharks, but might be two different teams, are battling for that spot in the 8.
It won't be the Tigers, mate.
It won't be the Tigers. It won't be the Sharks or other guys. It won't be the Sharks.
To be
You're
fair,
not going to be there, Cronulla.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Wow, geez, he's getting aggressive. Gee whiz, relax. It's all right. It's all right. Relax.
Sorry, Sharkies. No. Imagine that 8th and 9th position, or 9th and 10th, fighting for a spot in the 8, and then your best players out. And that gives you the other team a huge advantage. And I personally don't think that's fair. I can understand that the biosecurity measures are put in place for these reasons, but it's going to prove costly sooner or later.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's the thing. I agree. But the thing is, we found out that obviously the Roosters didn't need James Tedesco, and they ended up winning 59-0 at Suncorp, which was, very funny, because Hayden and I, well, like I said, I was streaming, and I actually 5 minutes into the game, I tipped 59-0, didn't I, Hayden?
You did. You thought that the Roosters would score a better than the Eels. We still hold the record for finals game, but the Roosters in regulation.
No. I'm going to cut you off right there somewhere. Yeah, no, that's all we need to talk about there.
Anthony Seabolt come out and said that they lost because the game experience between the two clubs. I disagree with that. That's absolutely a BS decision on why they lost, because they let go 886 games of experience in the last year and a half, and that's absolutely disgusting by the club. And it was all Anthony Seabolt's fault. So that's just massive. There's no excuse to why they lost that badly. It's just disgusting.
Yeah. Can I say on that, Broncos, if you're watching this, any Broncos players watching this, step up as a leader next time. The leadership was on another level. What were you doing? Obviously, you've got Brody Croft as your captain, which I don't agree with. It's his first year at the club. That's too much pressure on him. I personally think it should be Alex Glenn. That's my personal opinion.
Fair enough.
Darius Boyd should have spoken to the media. Someone with experience should have spoken to the media.
Not a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah, the way they handled it was terrible. And props to David Fafita, who actually did have a chat. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, he's only 20 years old, isn't he?
Yeah, he's quite young.
Something like that. He's pretty young anyway. So the point of the matter is that, if you're getting beaten 59-0, you shouldn't be expecting a 20-year-old or an early 20s who basically hasn't really played too much rugby league. He's played, but in the same sense, he hasn't played anywhere near as long as, say, Darius Boyd, who, claims to be this leader of the club, claims to be there for the club, but can't even go out and defend his defend his boys, or not even defend them. I don't think defending them was the right idea, but I think coming out and just admitting fault, or just coming out and understanding that you've just played an absolutely shocking game. I think that was, pretty poor from the Broncos there. So that was very disappointing. But let's get back into that Manly versus Parramatta game. Hayden, what were your thoughts on the forward pass?
Now, here we go, straight into the forward pass.
Yeah, well, of course we're going straight to the forward pass, champion.
You guys will disagree with me on this, but you agree with some extent and then disagree. The pass itself from Tom Trbojevic to Ruben Garrick, in my opinion, was not forward. The NRL has come out and said that themselves, and I think it is a very 50-50 call. I don't think it is automatically looking at it forward. I think it is something that can be...
When I saw it live, I didn't think it was forward.
In real time, it does not look forward, 100%. But when it's slowed down, it does look... It's a 50-50. But
Well, the ball
not
with the momentum is definitely going a lot. It isn't going backwards. The ball with the momentum is always going forwards. And I guarantee, unless, oh, geez, there's a joke going up there. Personally, for me, man, like the pass always goes. The pass will always go forward technically, unless you're going directly backwards. Unless you're passing it like 5-10 meters backwards, it's always with momentum, especially flat. If you're passing it flat, it's still going forward with momentum. So, in regards to what you're saying, that's the whole point of the coming at the back with your hands coming at the back. That's the whole point of that rule, because otherwise pretty much every pass is going to go forward due to momentum because of the way that you are running, and you've got to get it out to the wing. So that's why the rule is there. So that's what I have to say. But continue with what you were saying, mate.
I was going to say, the thing that for me, and I'm not being biased as an Eels fan here, I've rewatched this multiple times. I've rewatched multiple times. Dylan Brown and Clint Gutherson. Dylan Brown on the left in front of Tom Trbojevic, Clint Gutherson on the right-hand side near Ruben Garrick. Just like that situation for the Raiders 6 again last year, the referee has made a call on field. That call has stopped the defence. Yes, it can be argued, and I think it can even be agreed, that both Clint Gutherson and Dylan Brown tried to make a tackle, but there was nowhere near as much effort in that tackle as if that was straight on field.
I think with Gutherson there was, but not with Dylan Brown. I think Gutherson there was. I disagree with Gutherson, but with regards to Brown, then yeah, probably. I would say that he didn't try as possible, as hard as he normally would have. Yeah, but I think with Gutherson, I just think he got outpowered, man. I think he did. I don't think in that moment he was even, because the whistle, I didn't hear no whistle. I didn't hear the whistle until afterwards. I know that he stopped, and I know that it was classed as forward, but even if he did call the whistle, I don't think that in that moment Gutherson is thinking about what really the ref has said, because he doesn't. There's no way that he would have automatically imagined that would have been a forward pass. Your automatic assumption is that that's going to be backwards pass or a flat pass, and they're going to run towards you. So the point of the matter is that I don't think Gutherson in that split second was like, oh, hold on, that's all good. Nah, it's a forward pass. They've already called on it. So I know that he definitely gave it his best and just got out-muscled, out-powered. Brown, on the other hand, is a bit of a different story because he's a lot further away from the situation. AJ, what's your thoughts?
Simple enough. The touch you got wrong, like, it was just really bad. Looking at live, as you said, like, I didn't think it was forward. But then when I saw it live, I saw the touch he stopped straight away. And I'm a referee over at Rugby League. And so straight away I was watching with my mate. I said, that's forward, because the touch he stopped straight away. So you could tell. Then you go back and look at it. I was like, I straight away said, as soon as I look back on the replay, I said, that's not forward. They've got it wrong. They've just robbed Manly. So, and like, no disrespect to the Eels, but they don't deserve to win that game. The second half, they came out absolutely disgusting. Like,
yeah, it was pretty average in the second half.
Like, it was 6-6 after one stage. They both scored one try each in the second half, early in the second half, and then after that, Manly just started to run with it.
I'll be honest, man. I think the first half, Eels were definitely a team. Manly were definitely underdone. Yeah. They just didn't come into that game well, but I think that first half was pretty average. And I think that's just what I said the whole time. The Eels are known as a team that are shit for 60 minutes and then usually really good for 20 minutes. And that's what I've said to you many times, Hayden. So with the Titans game, with the Broncos game, they're a bit better, but Bulldogs game, they were really average for a long period of time, but they get through it. And then they get through it and they tire you out. And then at the 60-minute mark, they go bang. And there's no bang this time. And the point was Manly were just all over it in the second half. And I think the Eels are definitely a contender this year. And I class Manly as winning that game. So I know the scoreline reflects the fact that Eels won the game. I know that Eels have been given the game. But what I say is that no matter what, these two teams are making the finals. So in reality, I don't really care about the actual result score because I know I know how the game went. And I personally feel like Manly won that game. So if they play again in the finals, it's still 50-50. But in my opinion, will say that Manly come into this after winning the last game. But in the same sense, that's obviously debatable, and obviously everyone will take the actual results into question. That's just a personal opinion. But Parramatta's still a fantastic team. I'm not taking anything away from Parramatta. I just think that game just didn't give them any justice, really. I don't think that game really gave them too much justice. I think Manly, very underdone coming into it, and really they really actually kind of got off lucky that they were going to win this game because I don't think they had a great game whatsoever. It's the second half they were good, but first half, my God.
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much to say.
Yeah. Well, you're not getting ripped. No, you're not really getting ripped. It's just my opinion. My personal opinion is I would say Manly have won that game, and in the finals, which both teams will make, even though for some reason, didn't you say that the Manly will be very bottom of the 8 or something like that? They'll be in the top 8 at the bottom of the 8, didn't you say on the live stream?
6.
I hate
I've got him in 6.
Yes, buddy's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Buddy Manly in 6th place. Gee whiz. I still got them coming at least top 2. But another game, just before we move into talking about next round, because we're definitely not talking about that Bulldogs-Dragons game. Holy shit.
Shocking.
The other game that I really want to talk about is the Knights versus Raiders game. So that obviously was a cracker game where Ponga comes back and the Knights get a win. They're still undefeated this season, and they convincingly beat a Raiders team that everyone was like, okay, well, this is the premiership right here. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Outstanding game. Game of the round for me. It was just Kalen Ponga, which we've spoken about so much, nearly ran for 300 metres. 300 metres!
Yeah, that's crazy.
Led to 2 try assists. Both Kalen Ponga and Bradman Best were
Bradman Best was unreal, yeah.
Probably my best players of the round. Now, the Raiders, it's worrying. I guess it's funny because you can't put the Knights as a complete benchmark team. So I guess it is worrying that they were beaten convincingly. However, I think there was that spurt where there was the Josh Papali and who was the other try scorer? There was Jack White at the start, but there was a try in the middle. 2 tries within 5. I think it was Nick Kotrick and Josh Papali. 2 tries within a 10-minute period. That still showed me how genuine, and we've spoken about this during the podcast with different teams, how genuine that was a moment of true contender. That proved that the Raiders are still a contender, that 10-minute spurt. They weren't great, though. I thought Josh Hodgson was really good for the Raiders. But, yeah, Knights, wow.
It's crazy, like the Canberra Raiders are a team that can strip the ball easy. Like, we know Josh Hodgson's very good at that. Not once in that game did they strip the ball at all, so that was massive. Kalen Ponga, player of the round. He had a freakish game. Like, set up. I thought he set up 4 tries, but Hayden said it was 2. But like, he was a freak. Like, coming back from injury, lost his suspension, but like, it was amazing. I couldn't believe how like crazy the Knights played. Like, I looked at it, it's like, what? Where did the Knights come from? So
I don't think anyone was expecting it, to be honest, man.
Yeah, I think they're a genuine top 4 chance. Like that's a big call, but they're a genuine top 4 chance.
Top 4, gee whiz. So just before you jump in, Hayden, so you're going to put them. So when I say this, you've got to put them above at least 2 of these teams, right? So you're going to put the Knights above at least 2 of these teams. So there's Manly, there's Parramatta, there's the Roosters, there's the Storm, there's the Rabbitohs, and there's also the Raiders. So you're putting them above 2 of those teams. Which 2 teams would you take out of that 6?
Probably Manly and probably the Rabbitohs. Like, I think they're better than Manly, 100%.
You think the Knights are better than Manly?
I think they can be better than Manly, 100% on a day. They can be better than Manly.
Gee whiz, all right. So he agrees with
AJ, I'll take you on that. I think better than Manly is a tough call. At the moment, though, I think the premiership dark horse would be the Knights over Manly. Now,
I think Panthers are there too, man.
They're getting there. They're in the top 4.
And they've got no Nathan Cleary right now. They're doing this without Cleary.
He comes back next week, and we're going to see what the Panthers can do there. But
Against
the
the
Knights
Eels,
are just...
Let's move on to the next topic, which is just before we get into our tips for the next round, and that is going to be speaking about the Aaron Molan situation. Obviously, this is a bit of a tender situation, guys. So let's. It's a bit of a tender situation considering what's going on in the world right now with the whole racism movement and the Black Lives Matter. So obviously, Aaron Molan has come out and on a radio show, I think it was 2GB, and the person who was asking the question was saying something about Islander names. And obviously Islander names are very difficult to pronounce for those who are uninitiated or a commentator who haven't necessarily been able to say their name frequently. There are long names that are all over the shop in regards to comparison to English names. But Erin Molan's come out on the radio and she's they were asking her, are you getting ready for this weekend with all the Islander names? And she goes, oh yeah, Wooba Dooba Juba Shuba Kuba. And what? What do you mean Wooba Kuba Dooba Shuba Juba? Like, do you understand what's going on? That's just, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Because I'll get into my thoughts and opinion, considering that I live in Fiji and I'm a massive advocate for the islands, and my daughter's Ratuman. So I want to ask, Hayden, we'll go to you first. What's your thoughts on the situation with Aaron Molan? Do you think it was wrong?
Oh, 100% wrong. 100% wrong. It's disgusting. But the thing is, as you've said, or you haven't really completely touched on it, so I'll explain more. I think even with myself, I think it's okay to pronounce Islander names wrong. I used to call...
Unintentionally.
Unintentionally. You're reading a name and you struggle. Like Tui Kamika, I used to say Kamika. I just didn't know.
And you still haven't pronounced it correctly, but it's still all good.
God, there we go. But the thing is, to deliberately go on radio, the fact that it's outside of the NRL as well, it's not even in your main... It's bad in that workplace of Channel 9 or the Footy Show, wherever. Bad enough. But you have gone publicly to an... Yeah, exactly. You've gone to an area and you've insulted players of the game, players who are making debut, players who are making a name for themselves. And there's no respect. And as you've said, with everything going on at the moment, it's a very touchy situation. And I'm glad that everyone's jumping against Sharon.
It's completely disgusting. It's a joke. She should be sacked by Channel 9. She shouldn't be even allowed. Like, she should be sacked by radio too. Like, it's a joke. She shouldn't be allowed on TV ever again. It's like, I've got friends from Fiji, Samoa, Tonga and all that, and it's completely disgusting. Like, it's like, I don't even know what to say. It's like a complete joke. Like, it's just frustrating that she's come out and said that, and she's saying, oh, it was an inside joke. It's like, that's not the point. You can't be saying that on radio. Or like,
if it's an inside joke, well, then we're not going to get it then if it's an inside joke. So why are you saying it publicly?
Yeah, so it's like a point where like what's the point saying it? Because like, fair enough, like people get it wrong. I get Islander names all the time, and my mates give me crap about it. So, but it's just disgusting. It's frustrating. So yeah, that's where I stand.
I agree, man. And obviously, like I said, guys, I'm on the island, so I'm a massive advocate for the islands. And I know full well how difficult it is to pronounce Islander names. Obviously, it's a lot easier for me to say it because I see it very frequently. But in the same sense, like I remember maybe about 6 years ago, there was a player for Fiji and his name was Etuate Ngionibazawa. And I still pronounce that wrong. But the last name is like, it starts with a Q. So you wouldn't think Ngi, for example. It starts with a Q, so you'd think Key or something like that. But the point of the matter is that the reason why I pronounce that right nowadays is because I made sure I pronounce it right. You know, I practiced it over and over again. Ngionibazawa. So the point of the matter is that even if I still get it wrong, I'm actually dead set trying to get it right. And the point of the matter is that with everything going on right now, that's kind of even separate. But with everything going on right now, firstly, that can be considered racist. I wouldn't consider it racist as such because she's not actually having a negative crack at the islands. But what she's doing is she's making fun of the islands for the names that no one here can have a choice in their name. You know what I mean? Like it's part of the culture. So I can understand why people are bringing the racist connotation into it, but I don't think that she deliberately did this to antagonize. I think she was completely wrong for this. I think it was disgusting, and the fact that she hasn't gone back on her comments and apologized, like she hasn't even apologized. So the point of the matter is that like when there's so much outrage, at least go back and say, okay, listen, I got this wrong. Sorry, I didn't understand. And I'll try better next time, because it's cool. You can get names wrong. No one cares. If you get a name wrong, it's actually going to be funny if you accidentally get the name wrong. And people in the islands will be like, oh, she didn't get this one. She's an idiot. Like a bit of a joke, and no one will care. But when you come out and say, flabba wabba boongada boongada boongada, it's like, well, what are you doing? Like, that's just literally making fun of an entire... firstly, it's making fun of a person deliberately and making them out to be a joke. Their name, their actual name, their whole life is making them to be a joke. So that's not on. And then that's also insulting the country itself. So to wrap it up, Erin is honestly out of line, completely out of line, to be coming out and not backtracking on it. You know, it is fine to make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. But honestly, I'm absolutely livid that she refuses to acknowledge her mistake. And as well as that, she obviously destroyed the footage show, in my opinion. And it wasn't because she's a woman. You know, that's cool. I love the fact. I love Yvonne Sampson. You know, Yvonne Sampson is a fantastic commentator. You know, she does really well. And there are women in the game who do well, but she destroyed the footage show. And it's like, it's obvious to see. So you can't call it sexist when you're saying that there are other women commentators in the game right now who are fantastic commentators. So I just think that Erin Molan needs to be put back in line, and that's what I thought. That's what I think. Alrighty, well, we're going to move into, and we're going to go quickly here, so don't explain too much of why. Just give us a brief explanation, because we have to get into the AFL, because we've been going on for a little bit now. So we're going to get into our tips for the next round now. Hayden, you and me right now, we are tied at 8 apiece. We're tied at 8 apiece in the sheds for the tipping. Even though I did publicly change my tip to the Sharks, I did say the Cowboys on the podcast last week, so I have to take the Cowboys. But for everyone out there who didn't know, I did actually change my tip to the Sharks before the game. Everyone knows it. Hayden, you know it too. So, buddy, don't you arc up. But first off, we're going to get to Manly Broncos. And firstly, quickly, Hayden.
Before we start our tips, I just want to say how funny it is that the Tigers, because we're speaking about ladder changes quickly, the Tigers are in 9th. and guys, this is a big one. The Bulldogs have moved from last due to the Titans' win to 12th.
Yeah,
wow.
They are in 12th.
What did the Titans have to do with that?
No, well, the Titans winning the game, they were at the bottom of the ladder, which pushes the Dogs all the way above the Rabbitohs.
Doggies, woof, woof, baby. Ooh, I love it. Okay, let's move into the next round. So we got Manly versus the Broncos. I'll
go Manly by 12. I spoke about this last week, so I'm kind of worried that it could be a 13+, but I think the Broncos could contain this from being a big blowout, but I could see Manly getting...
I swear you said that against the Roosters.
Yeah, that's why I'm worried about saying it again, but I think I'll go Manly 1-12, so Manly by 12. Tango Junior back?
No, only Katoni Staggs is back, so Staggs is a nothing player anyway.
I think in regards to impact of a game, I think Katoni Staggs, obviously a centre isn't exactly the position that I look straight to when I think of changing a game. So I agree with you on that. But Staggs is a phenomenal centre. He is one of the best centres in the game, in my opinion. So, but I still, centre-wise, no. But I'm going to tip Manly here. I'm going to tip Manly by... I actually kind of agree. For some reason, you know what? I'm going to go 18, Manly 18. I think that Manly should still touch them up, and it is down in Sydney, so that means the Broncos do have to travel as well. Next up, we've got the Warriors and the Cowboys. A bit of an interesting clash here, and it is at Central Coast.
Said yourself, Blaze, that the Warriors are probably going to struggle this year. They're only going to probably get a couple of wins. Definitely. Yep. I think if they play the Dragons again, they'll definitely beat the Dragons again. I'm
going to tip the Cowboys here as well. I think, like you said, referring to the last, I think 2 weeks ago podcast, the point of the matter is that I said that the Warriors will win a couple of games this year, not too many, and the Dragons were the game they were going to win. They won that game. Then I tipped against them for the Panthers, and they lost that game. So the point of the matter is I'm pretty sure I have a good feeling about the Warriors this year in regards to where I'm tipping them, and I can't see them beat the Cowboys here. And I don't really rate the Cowboys this year, so but I will tip the Cowboys, and I'm going to tip them by... I still reckon it'll be relatively close. I'm going to go 10. Hayden, what's your thoughts?
I'm going to tip the Cowboys by 10. Again, I don't think this will be a blowout game, but I do think the Cowboys will beat the Warriors. And like you, I think there's a few games that I can see the Warriors winning and a few that they don't, and this is one where they don't.
Good call. Well, guess what? We're moving into the Parramatta Eels versus the Penrith Panthers game, and this one is actually I'll start off with. So I find this difficult to predict, but I will tip Parramatta in this one. I think the Parramatta will get over the line. I think it'll be a very close game. I'm not going to say that Panthers can't win this. I think Panthers can win this. I saw a lot out of Parramatta to know that they do have fragilities. They do have the ability to lose as well. But I will tip Parramatta in this game, and it will be a tough game. So I could definitely see Penrith winning it, but I will tip Parramatta, and I'm going to tip them by 4. So Hayden, you're up next.
Saturday's headline paper, in my opinion, will say the first team to beat the Eels at Bankwest twice, and that will be the Penrith Panthers. I'm going to tip the Penrith Panthers here. I think Cleary coming back into the side is huge. Yeah, you weren't expecting this, were you guys?
You've thrown me out of whack, mate. You've thrown me out of whack.
Thrown you out.
Hey, where's I need a water?
So let's speak about this. So Penrith, they drew with the Knights. They are becoming a very dangerous side. The big win was only against the Warriors, so I'm not completely convinced there.
Oh, yeah.
Cleary coming back to the side is one factor. Kick-out, Stephen Crichton is fantastic. There is just a really good team brewing there. I think Parramatta will keep it really, really close, but I think our Western Sydney derby that we do have with the Penrith Panthers, they will come away winners. I think we've had our best start to the season since 1989, which is huge, and I'd love to see us win. I'd love to see us go 5-0 rather than 4-0. But in this game, I'm going to tip the Penrith Panthers by 2 points.
Oh, I like it. AJ, your thoughts?
I'm going to go one better. I think Penrith's a very strong side. I think Nathan Cleary come back. I think there'll be a lot of leadership there. I think Penrith's going to win 20-19.
Right.
Oh,
22-19. So, you're a cheeky little devil there. I've seen it. That deserves a clap, that one. Hayden, do you get it?
I do get it.
Yeah, lovely. Good man. We're going to leave it on that. That's fantastic. That was actually fantastic. Good stuff there. And I'd love to say, I can't believe that I'm the only person to tip Parramatta on this podcast, but it is fantastic that you've tipped against your team. Hayden, I guess, are you doing this because you don't want people to think you tip them every round?
No. Well, look, I wouldn't tip them every round. I do games personally. I think this is like the Raiders, a game that we're going to slip up. And we have a massive game against the Roosters the week after this. So I'll have to wait and see based on our performance what I think of that. But I think this is the game that I think we slip up. And unfortunately, in a close one, we lose. Might even be the kicking.
Next up, Rabbitohs Titans. And Hayden, you're up first.
Rabbits by 8. Titans defence. You hate me? You hate me. You tipping the Titans? I doubt it.
No, I'm not. But go on. I still hate you.
I think the Titans' defence looked fairly good against the Tigers. Obviously, a lot of points were let in. Titans are very close to a few players coming back from injury, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So I think that's a bit of a boost for their team.
I think AJ is still about 3 weeks away. Look, I am going to go with my head over heart here. I think that we are coming off a positive. I think we'll keep it close. I think the Rabbitohs will win. I wouldn't be surprised if we do potentially shock, but I think that we're going to have one eye on that Dragons game, which is next week after the Rabbitohs game. So I feel like the Rabbitohs, they haven't won a game since the Sharks. So they need to win right now. They've had 2 tough games against the Roosters and the Storm. Now they're coming up against the Titans. They're going to be coming raring, ready to go, thinking this is the game they're going to win. And I'm going to tip the Rabbitohs here. I'll tip them by 6. I think it'll be still relatively close. It could be a blowout. It really could be a Rabbitohs blowout. It also could be a close Titans win. It could be a close Rabbitohs win. I really wouldn't be surprised with the Rabbitohs blowout, but I'm going to tip a Rabbitohs by 6 here. Then we're going to go to the Newcastle versus Storm game. I want to tip the Knights, but I'm going to tip the Storm here. I'm going to tip the Storm by 8 points. I think that Craig Bellamy is going to be adjusting that system very quickly. I think that I think the Knights are a really good team, and I think the Knights have a good chance here. But I'm going to tip the Storm by 8, and that's going to be a close 8, not a convincing 8. I think that'll be like they're up by 4 with like 5 minutes to go, and then score a try to seal the game. Kind of 8-point win there. Hayden, what's your thoughts?
I had the Knights before. When we were doing our Dragons Dogs reaction, my tip was Newcastle. I've changed that tip. I think it'll be such a close game. I've gone the Storm by 4 points. I really do think the Knights can defend and hold them out, and they have a big chance of winning, but I think the Storm will be too good by that 1 try.
Yeah, I like it. All right, Tigers, Raiders, and we're going with, I think we're going with me first. I'll just go first. Anyway, I'm going to tip the Raiders here, and by a cricket score. I reckon I'm going to put the Raiders here by 30. Yeah, you want to go me? Well, guess what? I'm going. You're going me. I don't rate the Tigers. I've said this every single week. I don't think they're good. They got lucky against a terrible Sharks outfit. They got lucky against a terrible Sharks outfit who lost the game themselves. They got beaten by the Titans when they were up 3 times. They're just not good. I'm sorry. I don't buy into this shit. I don't know why people are telling me the Tigers are a good team. I don't buy into it. So I'm taking the Raiders by 30. They're going to come out after a terrible game against the Knights, and I'm taking them by a big win. So, Hayden, you're up.
I've got the Raiders by 18. They'll definitely. It's a lock that they'll win this game, 13 plus. The Raiders, I can't see them losing this game, and I'm not surprised you're tipping them by 30. They have a really good record against the West Tigers.
I did come into my thought process. Yeah,
they do beat. There's been some very big scores. I remember some 50-6, some 44-8. So I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'm thinking 30-12.
All right, very quickly, and this is going to be an absolutely quick summary of two games here. Bulldogs, Roosters, and Dragons, Sharks. We'll go with you, Hayden, first. Go two teams right up.
Roosters will win. Roosters by 22.
Yep. And then Dragons, Sharks?
I think it's a tougher game to pick than we think. I think we saw a bit of the Sharks against the Cowboys. They should win this. The Dragons could upset, but I'm picking the Sharks by 16.
All right, well, I'm going to finish this off, and I'm going to say the Roosters by 24, and I'm going to take the Sharks by 20. I think that Sunday games are just going to be out of control. I can't see shit happening from either of those other two teams, from the Dragons and the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, I think, would have had a better chance against the Sharks, but in the same sense, they're not playing each other. So, yeah, I'm tipping the Roosters and the Sharks here by basically they're both getting into the cricket scores. So that's going to be wrapping us up for the week of NRL. The next topic that we're going to discuss is going to be the Premier League. Now, guys, the Premier League is back. It is coming back. And even though I'm a Man City fan, I don't want it to come back because obviously that means that Liverpool will win the league in 2 games' time. But there's just one quick thing that we need to briefly discuss, and that is the government has come out and said on the field, can you please social distance? Basically, they're requiring social distancing on the field of the game while the game's being played. Like, I don't get it. But anyway, guys, AJ, what's your thoughts?
Are you serious? How are they going to social distance on the field? So they're going to say, hey, mate, can you give me the ball in about 20 seconds time? Like, you're allowed to score the goal, but can you give me the ball at least, like, once so I can get my stats up? It's a joke of a call by the government. I don't agree with it, but I'm hoping that Arsenal beat Man City. I just want to see Blaze.
Can we hang this call up? Hang this call immediately. We've got an Arsenal fan in the bloody chat. Well, you've got a Chelsea fan over here. So.
Hold on. I'm a Chelsea fan, so.
Oh, you're a Chelsea fan. Oh, he's a
I'm
Chelsea boy. Hold on. So you're telling me you're a Chelsea boy and you're going for Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't like Man City.
What's wrong with this man? That's your biggest rivals, Chelsea and Arsenal. What are you talking about?
I just don't like Man City. I think as we know, they got banned from the Champions League. So maybe.
Well, we all know what's going on there. We all know that that's not happening. So that's all good. That's fine. But Hayden, what's your thoughts on the social distancing? Do you think it's realistic?
It's crazy. It's unrealistic. It's unexpected. I also wanted to ask you guys if you think this will happen. This might sound silly, but do you think that, like the NRL, the balls will be regularly cleaned and things like that? Because you're still putting – I mean, you're not touching with your hands besides the goalies who are wearing gloves, but you're doing headed. Are they going to be stopping games and cleaning the balls? What other measures are they going to be putting in place to do this if they've announced this?
So the thing is, the rugby league, well, that's true. There's going to be a lot of measures, but I don't think it's going to have any impact with the ball as such because they're not touching with their hands and the goalkeepers are touching it, obviously, with gloves. So it's basically, no one. But then again, there is the throw-ins. The ball will go out and there will be a throw-in. So I don't know. There could be. Maybe if the ball goes out, they might have to. But in the same sense, I don't think so. That'd be unrealistic with the amount of throw-ins to grab the ball and give it a wipe down and detergent and put it in the washing machine and give it a bit of a wash. Like, that just make no sense. So I guess there will be a lot of things that will come into play in regards to health and safety and requirements and getting everyone kind of in line. But in the same sense, I wouldn't assume that there'd be anything to do with the ball that would affect the gameplay as such.
Well, I was actually watching news report the other day. I think it's Southampton.
Southampton, yeah.
So Southampton said at halftime they're going to be washing the actual balls at halftime and cleaning.
Well, halftime makes sense. Halftime makes sense because that's a distinct 10 to 15 minutes where there's a huge break. However, I just don't think with throw-ins or with goal kicks or whatnot, I don't think it's necessary or realistic to continuously stop the game. Like, there's already enough stoppages as it is with VAR, and which is just ridiculous. And we all know how VAR treats the old Manchester City. But the point of the matter is that I don't think it's realistic. And if I honestly don't think there's any kind of reasoning behind it, considering it's not a game where you're actually physically touching the ball with your hands unless you're going and throwing. And then it's just, like I said, it would be just stupid to see them wash it every single time it goes out of play. Next up, guys, big news. The AFL is back. How good is that? It is going to be an absolutely ripper weekend. By the way, AJ, who do you support?
Geelong, mate. Come on.
Oh, get around here. What a bloke. See, at least I know I can forgive him. I can't forgive him for being a Chelsea fan, but at least I can get around him for being a Geelong fan and a Titans fan. Look at this bloke go. Hey, let everyone know who you support.
I support the Western Bulldogs, so get around in this year. Some good players there.
No, well, I don't mind the Doggies. Everyone loved 2016 and their fantastic premiership win there. But look, guys, I'm just excited to see more sports coming back, and I love my AFL. Obviously, I love my Geelong, and you guys seen me crying when we lost the preliminary final of Richmond, despite the fact that we were up at halftime and playing well until halftime, and then see you later, Geelong. That's what happened with Geelong. But guys, I will be live streaming games very regularly, and especially this weekend, I'm going to be live streaming the Collingwood versus Richmond game. I got the Port Adelaide versus Adelaide game showdown. We've got the Geelong versus Hawthorn game. I'm going to be doing those 3 games. Going to be live streamed on the BKRsport channel. But we have also got the In the Sheds podcast episode. I don't know what episode it was, but we had Charlie Dixon on speaking about all things Port Adelaide and the Gold Coast Suns. So if you're an AFL fan, definitely check it out. But guys, this is it's back. Like Hayden, geez, like I don't even know where to go here. I'm just excited.
How good is it to have live sport back? We've had the NRL for 2 weeks now, and we've known sport may be coming back. And there's just NBA looks like it's coming back as well. There is so much to look forward to, and I think AFL is really going to hype it up for everyone.
NBA's at Disneyland too. Woo! It's coming back at Disneyland, Orlando, I believe. Well, let's get into some discussion points. So first off, let's get through. Let's get into a season prediction. So we'll get through. Obviously, I'm a Geelong fan. AJ's a Geelong fan, and we've got a Western Bulldogs fan here. So I don't want to hear about these Western Bulldogs making the top 8, mate. I don't want to hear about it.
No.
I don't want to hear about these Western Bulldogs making the top 8. Okay, go on. Give me your top 8, champion. Give me your top 8.
Top 8 in no order. Richmond.
Yeah.
Collingwood.
Yeah.
West Coast Eagles.
Yeah.
Western Bulldogs.
I can't believe you just put them in the top 4. I know they're not in order, but you just put them in the top 4.
Not in order. Port Adelaide. Brisbane. Geelong and GWS.
That took you way too long to say Geelong, you bloody sneaky devil. I tell you, that took you. You're giving me a heart attack there. Who out of that list do you think is going to take it all out this year, and why?
My grand finals is 2 I've got written down. I've got Collingwood versus Richmond, where Collingwood don't choke, if you know the
Get out
song.
of town. I don't believe it.
Love it when Collingwood choke. But the other one, I think it's a very likely grand final, because I really like the Eagles this year. I like the Lions and the Eagles with the Eagles taking it out.
There's no Geelong there. That's the mistake.
No Geelong. No, they're in the 8 though. They're in the 8.
They're in the 8, and I possibly agree with you. But I think that Collingwood and Richmond is a great shout. But I think that's what everyone's tipping right now. Well, actually, no. There's actually quite a few people who are tipping a few other ones. Like you've got people tipping your GWS again, playing Richmond. You got your GWS Richmond again, which just would be the shittest grand final again, because obviously last year was terrible. You've got some people saying that buddy Port Adelaide are going to make the grand final. And I'm sorry, Port Adelaide, a good team, but a grand final, I'm not going to put them above about 5 or 6 other teams. I think Port Adelaide are good. Let's relax. But hey, AJ, what are you thinking? What's your top 8, and who do you think is going to take it out this year?
I've got my top 8 in order. I've got Pies, Collingwood as minor premiers.
Yeah.
I've got Geelong sitting 2nd, Richmond sitting 3rd, West Coast sitting 4th, Port Adelaide sitting 5th, Essendon in a surprise 6th.
I like it. No, I like it. I've said this to Hayden too.
In a shocker, St Kilda, I think they'll have a really good season in 7th, and GWS in 8th.
GWS. So who are you missing out on? You missed out on the Brisbane Lions there.
Yeah, I don't think the Lions, even though they've got the first 5 games at home, or next 4 games at home, I think they're just going to falter and they'll just miss out in 9th. But St Kilda's going to have a great season in 7th.
Are the home games impacted by any of this? Like, is Adelaide playing in Adelaide still, and West Coast still playing in West Coast, and Brisbane still playing in Brisbane? Like, or is their team, are they moving them around like the NRL?
So West Coast and Freo are come to the Gold Coast, and they're playing Gold Coast and Brisbane for the first 4 rounds, and then we'll find out after that, of course. And then after the showdown, Port and Adelaide both moving to the Gold Coast. So,
Oh, wow. Oh, so Port and Adelaide. So everyone's basically coming to the Gold Coast.
yeah, so
Mate,
it's going to be like
where?
6 teams.
Gee,
And you're
whiz.
stuck in Fiji, mate.
I'm stuck in Fiji, but then again, I'll be back by like August, so there's only about a month or two away. So I'll be back by around 8, and then I'm partying it up with Charlie. Be a bit of Dixon in my life. But let me get into my top 8 because it's actually quite tough this year, in my opinion. It is really tough to fit everyone in. I think there will be quite a couple of teams that will improve. I think North Melbourne will improve, but I don't think they're making the 8. I think St Kilda will improve, but I don't think they're making the 8. I think Adelaide will be around that 8, but they won't make it. So my top 8 is, and not in order, I think Geelong will make it. I think that next year we can either come 2nd or 7th, 2nd or 8th. The point of the matter is that we will make that 8, but I don't know where, because we're a team that could win the minor premiership, but we're also a team that can struggle through massive amounts of time. So I'm excited to see where Geelong comes. I'm excited to see how Geelong's season goes, but we do have a lot of older players now. We do have a lot of players that have they're out of their peaks, but we do have a lot of younger players coming through as well. So it's an interesting outlook for Geelong. I will back us in to make the top 8, but I don't know where to put us there. You've got your Richmond, obviously. You've got your Collingwood, who I'm actually putting Collingwood number 1. I'll tell you that right now. I got West Coast obviously being there. I got GWS being there. I'm all in with Essendon, by the way. I'm all in with Essendon. I feel like they're definitely the team that's going to shock everyone this year. And I also love Port Adelaide. So that's. Did I put 8 there? So no, sorry. So Geelong, Brisbane, Richmond, Collingwood, West Coast, GWS, Essendon, and Port Adelaide. There you go. Yeah. So that's my top 8 there. I don't know where those teams go. I think Port Adelaide will probably be around 5th. I think Collingwood, first. I think Richmond probably still 2nd or 3rd. West Coast 2nd or 3rd. I'd nearly put Geelong 4th, really. And then you've got your Essendon pushing in for that 5th to 7th range, 5th to 8th range. And I actually think Essendon will be pretty good this year, so I'm really looking forward to it. But right here, BKRsport tipping the Collingwood Magpies to take out the premiership. I think that this will be the year that they don't choke, like Hayden said, and I think they're a good enough team this year. They've got a lot of stars in their team, and obviously a couple of years back, I was down there with the Collingwood fans across the road from the MCG. I filmed a vlog for it, and that was heartbreaking for all Collingwood fans against West Coast, and obviously for the team. And then you've got last year where I was down in Melbourne, actually, across the road at Amy Park watching the game. It was pouring down rain. It was the shittest weather you would ever imagine. And they were going up against the GWS. And I'll be honest with you, man. I'm talking mainly to you here, AJ, but I'll be honest with you, man. I think that Collingwood would have absolutely touched up GWS if the weather was in good condition, and we would have gotten a really good
100%.
grand final, mate.
Yeah. My 2 grand final tips are, one's going to be a good one. It's Geelong versus Collingwood. That'd be a cracking grand final.
I like it.
That'd be a crack. And the other one's going to be a massive shock. Don't hate on me, guys, but I think it's going to be West Coast and Kilda. I know it's shocker, but that's crazy.
Okay, hang the call up. No, this is the second time now. That's 2 strikes. You got one more strike and you're out. St Kilda.
But yeah.
What's going on here?
You never know. Like,
Hayden, is he having a few drinks? Did he have a few drinks before he joined?
I think you had a few drinks, didn't you, AJ? Yeah.
Nah, mate. Honestly, you never know. Like, as we know, with like we don't know about teams how they've been training and how they can come out. The Saints could come out and shock everyone. So I give them a real chance. So yeah.
Yeah, but tell me who they've got though, man. Like, who have they got that are going to challenge the teams like Collingwood and Richmond? And I would put them around, like I said, they'll improve, but I think I've got them around maybe 10th or 11th. I don't think they're making the top 8. Grand final is outrageous.
Outrageous things can happen. So
I think if I was going to give a top 8 hopeful, like obviously Essendon, I guess, is a shock, but I don't necessarily believe they're a shock. I think if anyone could shock, I think North Melbourne could do something this year. I don't think they're going to win the premiership. I don't reckon they're going to make the top 4, but I think that if you're going to see a team push that is unexpected, it could be the likes of Benny Brown and the Kangas, mate. I don't mind them this year.
I reckon Carlton are going to miss the 8, obviously, but I reckon they are working. Hang on, I reckon they're.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I agree.
Yeah. I reckon they're working towards the top 8 spot. You'll see Paddy Cripps getting a lot of Brownlow votes, leading the team around. Got to get around him. Speaking on that, Paddy Cripps and Lachie Neale, they're my 2 tips for the Brownlow.
Oh,
so get around that.
I
Yeah, good shout.
AJ, who do
But
you
no,
reckon Brownlow?
I got him, my boy, Danger. So I think
Yeah,
Danger will win it.
the danger. Well, that would rely on us having a good season. So that would
Yeah.
rely on us being up the top. I think there's a few players that I'd give it to, but I think someone from Collingwood's going to get it. Like let's imagine. I think that Hayden, you're basically tipping Collingwood, right?
I'm tipping Collingwood as premiers. Yeah.
Okay, so and AJ, you said Collingwood could make the grand final, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So we've all basically said Collingwood are going to have a fantastic year. So if Collingwood are to go and have a fantastic year, who do you feel like is going to be the guy to win the Brownlow from their team? Pendlebury's definitely up there.
Yeah, Scott Pendlebury's up there. Adam Trelaw's up there too. Adam Trelaw could be a good shout. Not
That's
a bad
the thing.
one.
I think that I personally think that someone in the Collingwood midfield's going to get it. Pendles is obviously up there. I don't actually necessarily feel like he's going to be that guy. I think if anyone, Trelaw could definitely be the type over in that midfield. And this isn't Brownlow talk, but I think that De Goey's going to have a really good year too. Jordan Hill. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I think he's going to really rip in, and it's going to be really enjoyable to watch that. So that's our tips for the AFL. Oh, real quickly, this is real quick, but we have to make our tips. But let's go and we're going to race through them. We're going to race through them for the first round. So first up, we've got Collingwood, Richmond. I am going to tip Collingwood by 6. Ooh, tough game, that one. Real tough. And it's hard because we can't really explain our tips here. So this is real hard. But Hayden, who are you going and how much?
So in round, I'm going with Richmond by 16.
Richmond by 16. Geelong Hawthorn. I'm going to take... Actually, no, Hayden, you're going first here, buddy. Hayden, you're going first here. How you going? Who you going? Geelong Hawthorn.
I've got Hawthorn outside of...
Shit.
Hang on. I've got Hawthorn outside of the top 8, and I really want to take the Cats here. I'm going to take Hawthorn in a close one. Hawthorn.
Hang the call up. No, you've got... That's 1, 2, 3 strikes right there. Get out. No, get out. Get out. I'm not losing... We're not losing a Hawthorn. AJ, what's your thoughts?
The Cats are at home over in Geelong for the first time versing Hawthorn over there, so it's going to be interesting. I think Geelong by 6 points.
I think we're going to win by more than that. I reckon I'm going to give us an 18-point win. I don't rate Hawthorn this year. I don't think Hawthorn are great. And yes, we've got they're a rival, and rivalries are always difficult to predict. But gee whiz, I don't rate Hawthorn this year. I don't think they're fantastic. And I think that Geelong, I wouldn't even be surprised if I'm underrating it. I honestly think we could be up towards the 30 mark here. I think that we can do it. And this is all dependent on what I said before. I don't know whether we're going to be a bottom of the top 8 team or a top of the top 8 team. If we're a bottom of the top 8 team, we're going to beat Hawthorn by 18 points. If we're a top of the top 8 team, then we're going to beat Hawthorn by 30 to 40. That's my thoughts. So that's a quick little summary there. Next up, we've got the Brisbane Lions versus Freo Dockers. We got AJ up. Who are you going?
Lions by 18 over Freo.
I agree. I got Lions by 26 here.
I think it's funny that Freo have won 7 of their last 10 against the Lions, but I'm going to go with the Lions here by 28 points.
Yep, that's a fair call. Yep, Lions by 28 points. Then we got Carlton versus the D's. Not exactly the most enthralling of matchups there, but I'm actually going to go Carlton here. I rate Carlton a lot more than usual this year. I think they are definitely on the upwards trend. You saw last year, there was a couple of times, and I don't know why I'm really going into this too much, but you saw last year on a couple of times that Carlton definitely had it in them. There are a couple of players there that can take it, and this D's team isn't what it used to be. It wasn't the same D's team as it was a couple of years ago. So I'm getting behind Carlton here. I'm getting them in a close one. I'm going to tip them by 10 points. Hayden, you're up.
I got Carlton by 15. Again, I don't think it'll be a blowout, but Carlton
I thought you were about to say 50 for a second. I was like, get the shit.
Nah, 15. 15. Yep. I think it's a fair margin.
Okay, then you know what? We'll go to the Gold Coast Suns versus West Coast Eagles game because that obviously isn't the most enthralling game. I'm saying West Coast by 40. I'm honestly saying West Coast by 40. I don't give a shit if this is the Metricon. The point of the matter is that West Coast are going to win this, and that's probably 60 is still probably under what they're probably going to win by. The thing is, actually,
win by 100.
I think Gold Coast are better than they have been previous years. But I don't think this game against West Coast is going to be where they show it. I think this game against West Coast is going to be a nice little reality check for the team feeling positive, and then they're going to have to come out. I think next week they have a bit of an easier game against. Oh, they have Adelaide, which is hard. It's still hard, but in the same sense, it's like it's not outrageously hard. So I think Adelaide will still win that game anyway. But the point of matter is, I think Gold Coast are definitely not as bad as they have previously been. Hayden, who's your tip?
I've got West Coast Eagles by 44. I think they do get over that 40, but I don't think I think Gold Coast can stop them from being a massive blowout from between 60 to 100.
44 is a massive blowout, but I know what you're saying.
It is. I mean, I guess if it's like NRL, it's like 13 plus, but that's why I've got it. It's not that big of a blowout, Blaze.
It is 44. That's nearly 10 goals. Nearly. That's only like 3 goals short. It's like 7 goals difference. That's a decent blowout. But it's not like the 1 and 12, 13 plus. Like that's the difference in rugby league, but in AFL, gee whiz. Then we've got the big one, the Port Adelaide Power versus the Adelaide Crows. I'm up first, and I'm tipping Port Adelaide here. I'm getting behind the Power. I think they are looking good this year, and I'm going to tip Port by 4. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think they're a better team than Adelaide by a decent margin, but this game is always close, no matter what. This game is always close. It's always 50-50. We spoke about this with Charlie Dixon on the podcast, and I'm telling you right now, it is absolutely going to be an outrageous game. I can't wait to stream it. Hayden, what's your thoughts?
Well, let me just say this game hasn't been close since 2018 when it was 96-93. The last game was 88-68, and the game before that was Port by 64. I'm tipping Port Adelaide by 9. I do think this will be a close game. I think the Derby the Derby will be Derby, not Derby, sorry, the Derby. The Derby, both teams will be right up for it, competitive, and I think Port Adelaide come away with the chocolates.
Firstly, some breaking news out of the Crows camp on Sunday. Billy Fratman and Carl Hartigan had a full-on punch-up in a training session. So
hey, big about the biff.
So that was massive. And they were laying on each other, so it was massive. So the Crows doing all sorts, and I think they could lose by like probably 10 to 20 points. So I think
I'm taking Port by 24. I'm taking Port 24. I'm taking Port to 24. I'm changing my tip. I'm taking Port by 24. If they're having a fight in their ranks right now and they're going up against a good team in Port and they're going up against they're the home team. They're both the home team. I'm honestly changing Port to 24. I'm doing it right now. I'm changing my tip to Port from 4 to 24. I think that is massive news for 2 players to be having a punch up in the sheds.
In the sheds.
He's got him, son. But yeah, I'm taking him 24. So next up, we've got an interesting game. I don't really know how to rate them this year. GWS versus North Melbourne.
All right, so GWS have won no home games against North Melbourne from their last 10 games. I think that changes. I'm tipping GWS by 30.
Ooh. Okay. You know what I'm doing? I'm going to
tip North Melbourne.
I'm going to tip a shocky. And I'm going to tip North Melbourne, and I'm going to tip them by 6.
Ooh.
I'm going to tip them by 6. I reckon it's going to be a close game. I don't think GWS are that good this year compared to last year. I think they'll still be grand final, sorry. I still think they'll be top 8, but I think that North Melbourne are definitely improved. I don't think they're going to make the top 8, but I just feel like this is the kind of game that North Melbourne could win. I feel like it's a little bit of a Warriors situation in the NRL where if they're going to win a game against a good team, that's a bit different because the Dragons aren't a good team. But if they're going to win a game against a good team, it's going to be against GWS. I feel like their contrasting styles will be it'll be okay for Kangas to really get into it. And actually, you know what? I reckon they're probably going to – Hayden's more likely on the favourite side. I think GWS are probably favourites by about 20-odd, 24-odd. I'm going for a shock here. It is what it is. If I lose, I lose. I don't really care because I'm going to get every other tip right, aren't I, Hayden? Next up, we've got Swans versus Essendon.
Essendon will win by 14.
14.
Oh my god! I've tipped the Swans by 14. That's crazy.
Oh my god! Well, I'm not tipping the Swans. I'm tipping the Bombers by 10 points. So Hayden, we're going across against each other a bit here. Ooh.
That's good. Did you know that the Essendon Bombers in their last 10 have not won any away games against the Sydney Swans as well?
Really? Wow. Well, I don't care. No, that's a good stat. But I'm taking the Bombers here in a quick one, and then St Kilda versus the Dogs. Well, the thing is that he's going to tip the Dogs. He's going to tip St Kilda. So I'm the one who's going to differentiate this. I can tell you right now. So I'm going to tip the Dogs here. I'm going to tip.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tip them by 14 points. And that's going to be a close one that I wouldn't be surprised if St Kilda win too, by the way. Hayden, go on, hurry up and tip your dogs. We all know what's happening.
I'm tipping the Dogs,
Yep.
end of story. But it's going to be very close. And again, I think St Kilda have a massive chance. This is a very close scoreline. I'm going to tip the Dogs by 11.
11. Oh, I think that's the first odd number that we've had here so far. Yeah, I think that's the first odd number. I think so, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it is. And AJ, hurry up and tip St Kilda.
I'm going to tip the Saints by 1, but it could even be a draw, mate.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that's going to wrap us up for the AFL tips, and we've basically gone through all that round, all the opening round. Look forward to seeing how that pans out, and I'm looking forward to seeing. I think we've all gone with Collingwood to the grand final, so Collingwood fans, get around it, get around it. Finally, guys, we're going to get into your questions. You send us all your questions on the Instagram page of In the Sheds podcast. You need to go over there, give us a follow, and every Sunday or every Monday we put up a post on the Instagram story asking you guys for questions, and we answer the 3 best ones from our opinion that we are going to chuck on the show. So let's get into those. The first one is going to be from Warriors NRL Fanatics, who asks us the team of the round. Who was your team of the round? Not game of the round, team of the round. Let's go with you, Hayden.
Newcastle Knights on the park with Kalen Ponga. Even Mitchell Pearce had a massive game. Brabham Best, I think the whole team was quite good. If I was to pick a second team, it would probably be the Sydney Roosters. They come quite close, especially their bench. Lindsay Collins, he came off the bench and ran for 250 metres, but I think Newcastle Knights take away team of the round after that win to the Raiders by more than 13 points, which is convincing.
AJ, team of the round.
Oh, it's hard to go past the Gold Coast Titans. They came back from, like 3 times. They come back from twice by more than 10 points down twice in the game. And then, of course, the short kickoff, and then they score in the last minute. So, of course, Newcastle was very good, but the team of the round has to be the Gold Coast Titans. They're amazing.
I understand why I'm not going to tip the Titans because the way I think...
Yeah, good.
Oh, here we go, buddy. Shush you, buddy, over there. I think the Titans were fantastic, but in the same sense, I don't think of this question in that way. I don't think that question because they're not a contender. So I think that and Tigers aren't a contender either. So to me, it's a bit of a nothing game. A fantastic result and fantastic performance by the Titans. Bit of a nothing game for me though, because both these teams aren't making the 8. Where I would lean towards is one, probably the Roosters, because I guess it's against a shit-ass Broncos team. But in the same sense, 59-0 is not easy, even against a Queensland Cup side. 59-0 is still a big-time scoreline against grown men who are trying to win the game just as much as you. So 59-0 is a huge scoreline. And especially without James Tedesco, you've got to remember as well. So they're a contender going up against, I guess people call another contender. There are a lot of injuries and people out for the Broncos, but I'd probably take the Roosters on that. I think the Knights played fantastic, but the Roosters, their best player, current Dally M fullback, current Dally M player of the year, and also their number 1 player wasn't playing, and they beat the Broncos in Brisbane, where they haven't won for many, many, many a year, by 59-0. So I'm taking the Roosters in that situation, and I think you couldn't be wrong if you said the Knights. I don't even think you could be wrong if you said the Panthers. I know they played the Warriors, but they came out and won 28-0, and after the Warriors were very hyped up and very raring to go, and everyone was tipping the Warriors. I had a point of difference tip with the Panthers. I thought that was wild. How did I tip the Panthers, and I was one of the very few who tipped them? I thought that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life, but that's my team of the round. So I've gone the Roosters, AJ's gone the Titans, and the big fella over here has gone the Knights. So I think that's a pretty good mix. The second question we have from Let's Go Champ 123, and he asks, when do you think the Titans will win another game?
It's going to be against the Rabbits, I think. If not the Rabbits, it will definitely be against the Dragons. So it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. So get excited, get around the Titans.
I agree, man. I don't think we can get past that. I don't think we can move past that second week without beating the Dragons. And if we do lose the Dragons, I still think that it'll be within the next five weeks. I don't think there are the next 5 teams we play. I don't think they're all better than us. I think the Titans can definitely, at the very least, beat the Dragons next week if we do lose the Rabbitohs. Hayden, what's your unbiased thoughts?
Dragons is one that should win, but if the Dragons don't win against the Sharks, they should be right up for that game against the Titans.
We have a good record against the Sharkies too.
The team that there you go. That's leading into it. The team I think the Titans will win is Saturday, the 4th of July against the Sharks at Suncorp. They play really good at Suncorp. They also play the Broncos the week prior, which they have a great record against.
Yeah, we've beaten them the last 2 times in Brisbane as well.
I'd probably slightly take the Broncos there, but I think the Titans could be a bit of a bogey team for the Sharks and continue it on and beat the Sharks on the 4th of July. Let's around it. America's National Pride Day, 4th of July, and the Titans
get around us, Tennessee. Get around us, Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee. There we go.
Well, the Titans actually play 3 games at home and straight in a row. Like they play at Suncorp. They play the Dragons, the Broncos, and then the Sharks. So
yeah, well, if you're
they play Dragons, Broncos, Sharks, and Warriors all in a row. So 5 games. Four games.
Suncorp.
Oh, and Suncorp, Rabbitohs. Oh, no, it's not Rabbitohs. Dragons, Broncos, Sharks, Warriors. You got 4 games at Suncorp in a row.
Yeah, I like it. So that's 4 home games in a row. That's lovely. I like it. That is, there we go. So at least, we're all tipping at least within the next 3-4 weeks, Titans. AJ's tipping either this week or next week. I'm tipping next week minimum. And I think Hayden's still tipping Dragons, but if not the Dragons, the Sharks. So there you go. We've gotten our next Titans win. Let's go. I'm ready to cry again. I'm ready to cry on stream again. And the final question we have from Isaac Ritchie, 2006, and he asks, what do you prefer, grand final or state of origin? So I guess this would maybe be referring to if your team, I don't know. Actually, let's think of it like that. Are you thinking, because if it's grand final, state of origin, I'm taking state of origin. If it's just in those two without any teams involved, just state of origin or grand final. But if it's my team involved, it makes it a little bit harder. So would you rather your team be in the grand, like would you rather watch your team win the grand final or would you rather your state of origin team win?
I'm going to think with my heart here, and I love the Titans, but I'm a Queensland origin win over a grand final win. Like, I'd love to see the Gold Coast Titans in the grand final, but I'm probably more confident on Queensland winning the state of origin. So definitely Queensland, seeing a state of origin win over a grand final win, you definitely have to.
Hayden, what's your thoughts?
I'm a Queenslander through and through, but I'm taking the Eels. It's been a long drought, and honestly, I'd love to see the Eels even play in a grand final and go to it. It's been 11 years since we made the grand final. Just to go to it, even win it, would be spectacular. But I'd take the Eels over Queensland there.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to straight up say this. I think it's outrageous if you take state of origin here, especially being a Titans fan, because, that's the thing. Like, I think that we've had the most tormenting 10 years ever in the history of probably any rugby league club, to be honest with you. I think that grand final day is just something special. I think that obviously I'm a Queenslander through and through. Love my Queensland. Get right behind them. But if I'm watching my boys, my Titans winning the premiership, I'm taking one Titans premiership over the next 7 state of origins. I would watch New South Wales win the next 7 state of origins if the Titans won the grand final this year, next year, or the year after that. And that's a big thing to say. But you notice that I said 7, by the way, because I'm not watching more than 8. I'm not. And if that's the case, then no, I'm taking the Queensland because I'm not watching more than 8. But I would give 7 state of origins in a row to New South Wales to watch the Titans even win a grand final or be in the grand final. I don't really care. The point of the matter is that I've been through so much shit with this club. Like, I continue to go through so much shit with this club, and there's no way I'm taking a game that is at 100% at 50-50 each year over a game where it's 1-16 each year. And after the history that we've had, maybe you might get a different response out of me if we'd lost 8 years in a row like New South Wales did. But at this time, no, I'm taking 100% Titans grand final, and I'm not even having a second thought about it. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's going to do us. We've definitely been going longer than we usually do, but there's been so much to talk about this week, and it's been an unreal chat. We've gone through Premier League, we've gone through Rugby League, we've gone through AFL. We've answered your questions too. So, it's been unreal, and obviously AJ, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you listening into the podcast every week, and we hope you have been enjoying it, and we hope you've been enjoyed it coming on. Yeah, definitely. It's been amazing. It's enjoyable. When you messaged me, it was 1 a.m. in the morning. Usually girls are only DMing me at 1 a.m. in the morning, not guys. So yeah,
was a very shock. So, but I was very like, wow, like that's crazy. So, it was an honor to come on, boys, and it's been amazing to meet you. Talk to you, Blaze, and meet you, Hayden. You're amazing also.
Yeah, awesome,
Thanks,
man.
man.
We really do appreciate we do really appreciate you coming on, and obviously Entertain House, the co-host. Obviously, thanks for coming on as per usual.
No, that's all good. Thanks, boys. I really enjoyed having you on, AJ. So you're welcome anytime on the show. I'm glad you're a listener who knows this stuff. And
he's a Titans fan. Of course, he knows his stuff. Exactly right. But yeah, it has been fantastic. And obviously, guys, AJ's Instagram will be in the description below on the BKRsport YouTube channel. And obviously, Hayden's links and stuff, you guys, he's always here. So you can go down there and give him a follow at Entertain House on YouTube. And while you're here, obviously, go down there, hit the subscribe button, hit that little ding-a-ling-ling. Don't forget to go and hit that thumbs up button. It means a lot. It shows us that you guys are really enjoying the content that we're putting out for you guys. This week, it looks like we're going to be having Anthony Don this Sunday, 8 a.m. AEST. Anthony Don, Gold Coast Titans winger, and he will be his podcast will be this Sunday at 8 a.m. So I'll look forward to that. That is going to do us today, guys. We really appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and live your passion. That's the main thing. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.